Hello guys, this is Albertura the Tone Junkie, and today I'm gonna tell you the story of my first electric guitar, the one I learned to play with, how I got it, how it was left on the streets in Caracas in the early 90s, and how I'm gonna bring it to life. So buckle up because it's gonna be legend, wait for it, dairy, legendary. Okay, back in the early 90s, I was learning to play guitar and I was using a Spanish nylon string guitar that belonged to my grandfather, then my father, then me. So by that time, I was, playing all the Metallica and Guns N' Roses licks on that acoustic guitar, Spanish guitar. Then one day I got a call from my godfather saying that he had found on the street an electric bass guitar, and he was asking me if I knew how to use some paper that was, working at the time, which is called negocio redondo, which means the circle business or the round business. So people would post ads there selling, looking for some stuff to buy or selling stuff. And my godfather was asking me about it because he wanted to get rid of that bass guitar he found on the street. So he told me that he was, getting home one day, late night, and while he was opening the gate of the parking lot of the building, he saw in the rear view mirror like a black gig bag on the sidewalk. So he parked the car, went out to the streets, grabbed the gig bag, and put it in the, buildings over there. They have these storages, the storage units in the basement. So he put it there. And he wanted to sell it. So days went by, and he invited us to his home for a barbecue. So in the middle of the thing, he asked me to go to the storage unit to grab some Coke. Not cocaine, Coca-Cola. So grab some Coke. So I went downstairs, I opened the door, and then I see on the corner, and I see this gig bag right there on the corner. So I was like, okay, let me check that out. So I was into, Metallica and Guns N' Roses at the time, and I opened that gig bag and pulled out this guitar, Floyd Rose, humbucker single. It had these Select by EMG pickups, which were the cheap version passive of the EMGs at the time. It looked like a Jackson, Kramer, Charvel kind of copy, and I was blown away. So I got back to the apartment with the Cokes and the guitar, and I told him, hey, listen, you made a mistake. It's not a bass guitar, it's an electric guitar, and I am taking it home because I didn't have an electric guitar at that time. So I started playing, and I started dealing with all these things with tuning issues, string buzz, the frets all worn out. I mean, bad, very bad. The Floyd Rose never stayed in tune. The arm and the nut, the junction between the bridge and the arm was never tight. Even though I used to tighten it all the time, it got loose every several days. So I started experimenting with this guitar. The knobs didn't work. I remember it had two tones and none of them worked. The switch was a mess as well. I think it was very noisy and dirty. And so this guitar, I learned to play on this guitar, and it has a huge meaning for me. It's very meaningful for me. One thing that happened is the guitar had in the back, and I'm gonna show you because to bring this guitar to life, I found this on my local, trading app, and the neck looked pretty much like this one, and my guitar had a crack in this area, just between the Floyd Rose bolts, you know, behind the nut. And I took it to several guys and they said that it was very hard to fix. And I kept it that way for several years. I started playing in bands around, I don't know, maybe 1994, 96 maybe. But I started in my first serious band around the 2000s. So by that time, this was my only guitar. And I decided to get a Jackson and keep this one as a backup because all the tuning issues, the frets, I always had this idea to have it in a playable state, you know. So I bought the parts. I replaced the pots and the switch. These jacks I replaced it as well. I changed the pickups, but I still had the issues with the Floyd Rose and the fret. So I remember around 2005 or 6 maybe, I went to this journey trying to find some frets, and the ones I found were these kind of the ukulele, Venezuelan ukulele frets, which were very thin. So anyway, I remember I have a friend, and he had a guitar teacher, and the guitar teacher was moving to the US, and the guy left us a bunch of stuff, and one of that stuff was a book about how to change frets. So I used that book. Well, it was not a book, it was more like, you know, a bunch of copies. So I used that those copies to change all the frets in my guitar, but at the end, you know, it was horrible. I didn't have the correct tools to do it. I don't think I did the fret leveling correctly, actually. But anyway, you know, the problem was that the neck was not the kind of neck I really want. The neck was very flat in the back, and it was very narrow. So anyway, I decided to leave that guitar the way it was. Then in 2010 I moved to Florida. I lived there for a while, and while I was there, I went again for the second time, you know, trying to make this guitar great. So I bought a Floyd Rose out of eBay, and it came from China. It was very cheap. I put it on the guitar, it was black, and I started playing again. I put some cheap pickups in it because at some moment I put some DiMarcios, but the guitar was not playing right, so why keeping the DiMarcios in if the guitar wasn't playing right? So I put some cheap pickups and cheap bridge, and the guitar still never got in tune. And then one day I looked at it, and the the Floyd Rose was so crappy that it was bent this way, like this. So at that moment I decided, you know, to I remember I pulled out the old bridge, and I put it on another guitar and sold it. And you know, I just stripped this guitar apart. I got the neck and threw it to the trash and sent the guitar to Venezuela. Then my mother brought it to me to Spain, where I live now. And once again I said to myself, you have to bring this guitar back. So once I got to Madrid, I started looking for the right neck for my guitar, because I've tried some Squier necks and they didn't fit the pocket. So I needed to find the right neck for the guitar, but it was hard because this was a 22 fret guitar, and most of the Floyd Rose guitars, they have 24 frets. So it was very hard to find the right one. And then last year in September, I got back from vacation, and I checked my my local Craigslist, which is called Wallapop. It's an app where people, you know, buy, sell, and trade. And I found this guitar. It's a Korean-made Vester, which has the perfect neck for me, but the frets were horrible. The guitar was kept in a town like for many years, just collecting dust and rust. But my strategy was to repair this guitar and see how it plays, and if I liked it, just use this neck to put it on this guitar, so that way I can bring my guitar back to life. So grab some popcorn, because this is gonna be a long journey. But this one is the same scale, and the headstock, it's pretty much like this one. I got it for very cheap, because if you see here how bad the frets are. I mean, come on. You know, the fretboard is a mess. This guitar was left like in a small town here in Spain, you know, dealing with the humidity, cold, and it got really bad. Actually, if you see the action, it's like super high. I mean, come on, you kidding? Really? Look at this. Super high. Leave this like this. You see this weird tremolo? Man, it looks like a Floyd. Are you kidding? When you see this type of tuners, then you know that that's a cheap guitar. And I'm talking about, you know, this type of shape. You see it on all guitars. These are the worst quality ones. You would not believe it, but this looks very similar to my, even the tone, even the color of the wood looks like my old guitar. But it feels better though. My old one has a very thin neck and a very thin back as well. This one is way more comfortable than the one my guitar had before. I'm doing the leveling work here, and as you can see, we have like a hole over here and a hole over here. Gotta keep on going. I removed holes in the second and third fret. Looking good. Okay, so now one of the things I was concerned about, you know, all this project was the Floyd Rose, because I've had other guitars with this type of bridge, and it has to be a good one, otherwise you're not gonna get, you know, good tuning. So I didn't want to spend, I don't know, 150, 250 on a original Floyd Rose, or maybe a Schaller. There's another Goda that I really like, the hardware made in Japan. And you know, but I didn't want to put a very cheap bridge. And I had a previous guitar, it was a Strat, which had Wilkinson. So I looked for this one and I found it on Amazon. It took more than a month to get here, but you know, I paid 40 bucks for it and it looks very good. It doesn't have any shaft or anything. It's just, you know, plug and play. So we'll see, but I have to reopen these holes. So this is the part that I have to be very careful. So first I'm gonna measure the depth, 21.9 millimeters. Diameter, 9.9 millimeter. And then I gotta see how deep it goes. 23.9. So push it in with the hammer. I think that will be enough. So hitting something here. I'm gonna have to chip out the wood a little bit in this corner. Anyway, I'm not too worried about scratches or anything because this guitar, you know, see all those dings, scratches. I mean, it's not too bad for being an 80s guitar. I've seen worse, definitely. I am a person that takes care of things, but I'm not too maniac about having everything like super perfect. I think that's the beauty of the instruments. If they can show some, you know, real wear. I'm not talking about mistreatment. You see, this is I don't know if you can see it there. That's a high one. All right, so it's in. Perfect. All right, before I forget, I got to the point where I found this. We have these holes and they need to match the ones in the body. So I measured them. It was slightly different. And the same thing with the plates. This is the original plate, and this is the plate that goes with the Fender neck. But I wanted to keep using at least the original one because it has this hole right here, which is for the micro tilt adjustment. I decided to keep the original. I mean, not the original. The originals for the neck bolts. The original placement of the holes, and I decided to re-drill these holes. I have to move this one a little bit, this one and this one, and I kept this one as my, you know, my guide hole. Neck is in. I put it with the original plate. And I noticed something, you know, the neck, the Vester guitar came with these crappy ones. All of them broke down on me. You see how they move? They have this washer. They have this washer right here. It's broken. You see there? So luckily I saved the original ones. These have been very nice. So I'm gonna put them back work perfectly. These are the original ones for this guitar and they work just fine. So I'm gonna put it back. The other thing is I have to decide which pickups I'm gonna use. These are the cheap setup pickups I bought when I was living in Florida. I have this humbucker. Well, these are Seymour Duncan Alnica 2 Pros. And I think the humbucker for the bridge, it will sound really good. And I also have these, you know, spare. These are from a Squier. I decided to use the cheap pickups because these are the hottest. Alright guys, so here we are. Pickups are in, bridge is in. I removed the claw because I didn't trust the original one. I put the one that came with the bridge, brand new springs. And I wanted to show you a little trick that I use. Grab a piece of cardboard that can fit in the cavity. So what I do is I put it there, flip it over, and then with the pencil you mark where all your components are gonna be. So that way we are gonna do everything outside. It's gonna be easier. Okay, so we're gonna open these holes. Right, so these will follow the holes down there. Okay, so what's the point? The point is that this will help you keep everything in place, and and the components won't move around easily. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hook everything here first, and then I'm gonna do for last I'm gonna do the jack and the pickup switch. Okay, right here. So phase 2 is ready. Circuit is ready, already tested it out. I love this guitar, man. It's beautiful. Okay, so 16K pickup, very hot. 5.5, 5.5. Switch for normal tone, master tone, and blend for the coils on the bridge humbucker, master volume, 5-way position, general, master, kill switch. So I'm gonna put the strings on, do the setup, and you'll see. Alright guys, this is the guitar. Yesterday I had a tense moment when I was doing the setup because I was trying to get into the first string, the E string, and I gotta bring the saddle all the way in. And the problem was that if you put the saddle all the way in, when you use the trim, the saddle would hit the wood, the top. So, you know, I did measure again, and I decided to re-drill the pocket in order to bring the neck in the body, you know, so I can bring this saddle a little bit back. So right now it's right there on the edge of the bridge plate. And well, I spent a lot of hours doing that because I don't have the router or anything, so I had to do it using files, sandpaper, and my and my drill. So it came out really good. I decided to use the cheap pickups. They are pretty much okay. I'm not completely happy with them. They're kind of dark. I would prefer to be, you know, brighter. And I would like to route in the near future the wood underneath the bridge, so it has more travel when you pull the strings out. And I would like to route these areas well to give more clearance to the bridge. But so far it's very nice. And yeah, I love this maple front and back. I changed the tuners. These are the original tuners of my guitar. I would like to remove this, you know, Vester brand decal, put something like my brand on it. So yeah, wait for it. Alright guys, here's the guitar. Finally is back. As I told you before, I hated the pickups. Those cheap pickups were horrible, were very dark. I really hate them. So I started thinking, which pickup should I put on this guitar? What kind of sound I was looking for? So I wanted to have, of course, the humbucker, but I really wanted to have like really good, really chimey single coil tones out of it. So I remember one of the guitars, one of my favorite Strats belongs to my friend Guillermo, which is an amazing guitar player, and he owns like 15 different Strats. He has one, I think it's American Standard, black guitar with the maple fretboard. And that guitar sounded amazing. I loved it. I think it's one of my favorite Strats I have ever tested, ever. So he told me that he had the Texas Special pickups. I'm not too familiar with Fender single coil type of pickups, but those sounded amazing. So you know, I started looking for them, and the only thing I found was the complete set. But it was 3 single coils, and I needed just 2 because I needed to put a humbucker in here. I wasn't too worried about the humbucker because I have a bunch of them and I can try different ones, but I really needed the real single coil tone. So I looked online on eBay, Thuman, and different stores, and same thing. I mean, most of them didn't have them. I kept looking a lot on different sites, eBay every day, on forums. And then one day I got into this forum I used to check out like maybe once a week, and there's a guy selling a set that came from American Special in black. Because the other thing was, this set of pickups, they just sell it in white. And you know, as you can see, this guitar with the white pickups, it's a no-no. He said that it was the original set of his guitar, but he put on Seymour Duncan's, blah blah blah. And he was selling these pickups, Texas Special and the Fender Atomic, like for $120. So normally the 3 single coil set is around $200. So yeah, I decided to buy those pickups and put them in here, and I love them. Okay, I'm gonna show you a little bit. This is not gonna be like a full demo. I just want to show you the different type of tones I was looking for. Let me see how loud this is. This is my prototype amplifier. See this chimey single coil sound? I love it. Neck pickup. Neck and middle pickup. That is the sound I was looking for. I love this position. Center position. See that sound is very snappy. I love that from Strat guitars. Even though this is not like a real Strat, I needed to have those type of sounds because I simply love them. Bridge and middle, full humbucker. But this guitar has a few tricks. One of them is the toggle switch. This toggle switch has 2 positions. Down, the tone knob is just a master tone on all the positions. But up, the tone started acting as a blend coil for the bridge position. So, on the bridge, this is the humbucker sound, but if I roll it back completely, this is the single coil sound. Humbucker, single coil. So, you can have something in the middle, because normally I have experimented a lot with this type of, you know, mods in the electronic of the guitar. Normally, when you want single coil sounds out of a humbucker pickup, the single coil sounds very thin. So with this mod, I can have, you know, in between sounds, not too skinny as the bridge single coil and not too fat as the bridge humbucker. So check it out. Humbucker, like 50% blend, single coil. So this way I can have the single coil tones full humbucker, or single coil. And it's awesome because depending on what you are playing, you will need to have like a full output on the bridge for solos and play all the rhythmics on the neck, for example, or the neck and middle. And sometimes you want to do rhythmics on the bridge and you don't want them to be as fat as a full humbucker. So with this type of mod, I can play a bunch of stuff. And I can have the second position, which is single and single, which is the Sweet Home Alabama tone. Another thing that I changed besides the pickups was the angle of the neck. And that is because originally I set it flat, but this type of bridge, the height of the saddle, it's higher than a normal Floyd Rose saddle. So what happened is, if you see the previous picture, you'll see that the bridge is like very into the body, and that was a problem because you know, the bridge didn't have enough clearance to pull the strings back. And the other thing is that even though the bridge was very into the body, the neck was completely sunk in the neck pocket, and the action was still too high for me. So what I did was I changed the neck angle. I put it a little bit tilted, so that way I needed to raise the bridge until a point that the action was correct for me, and that way now the bridge is a little bit, you know, higher, and it has more movement. So those were the few things I made to the guitar at the end. The guitar is not completely perfect. Most likely I'm gonna send it to a luthier to do the crowning correctly because I don't have the right tools to do it. It has a few fret buzzes here and there, but you know, I'm really happy that I got it back and I'm really enjoying it. I love this neck. It's awesome. It's the perfect shape for my hand and for my, you know, style of playing. And yeah, I am planning to do more mods in the future. Maybe some relic, maybe some, you know, few cosmetic changes, like, you know, removing this brand decal. And I don't know, if you come up with something interesting, let me know in the comments and I will consider doing it. Now let's take a closer look. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I am really happy that I could finally share this story with you, and I'm also happy because I have my guitar back. Let me know in the comments which mods you would do to this guitar, and don't forget to subscribe because I'm coming with more. Don't forget to rock on, grab your guitar and play. See you next time.